had to be intubated for 5 days, but I was faking it, so. All right, so, geometry. First of all, we're going to talk about conversions of measurement, U.S. customary and metric, and then we will get into what we normally consider to be geometry, okay? So, first thing, U.S. customary units, we are the only ones that use that in the United States. That's why it's called U.S. customary. They talk consistently about going to metric for us. That will never happen, I'm convinced, because we are the United States. We think we're better than everybody else, so we have to be different. So, pretty sure that's not ever going to change. In your book, there is a chart on 7.1, called chart 7.1. It's under example number 6. These are conversions that you have to know. I have written down the ones that you do have to know. So you have to know 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. You have to know that 1 mile is equal to 1.61 kilometers or kilometers. You have to know that 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. 1 liter is 1.06 quarts. Essentially, 1 liter is about the same. And 1 meter is 1.09 yards. You will have questions, but you will have to convert those back and forth. Okay? One question, for example, is that a ham costs $8 per kilogram. The ham is 16 kilograms. Tell what it costs per pound. So you would have to transfer it into a pound instead of kilograms. If you have a baby, they actually weigh those in kilograms and then transfer it over to pounds afterwards. So that would be the first number that you would get in the program. In fact, if you go to the doctor today, a lot of times they will measure you in kilograms. It always looks a lot better because it's about half of what you weigh for real. So that's always a better number. Don't like it when we switch back over to pounds, though. You also, your car, most generally, if it is newer, like within the 2000s, you can switch from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. Makes it look like you're going really, really fast. So that is also an option there. They do that because we can drive into Canada and we can also drive into Mexico in their metric system. In Canada, they do have initially when you transfer over into the Canadian border, both they will be in miles per hour and kilometers per hour. But as you drive further into it, it only goes to kilometers per hour. So you do have to have that ability to transfer over, otherwise you don't know how fast you're going. All right, so conversions. If I'm talking about U.S. customary conversions, the book has a way that they want you to do it. I also suggest this because it makes it easier for you after if there's a number or a measurement between the two that you're looking for. So this first one, if I'm going from 14 feet to yards, that's not too difficult if you know there are 3 feet in a yard, which most everybody does, right? So you would just take 14 and divide by 3. But this is how they want you to do it. So 14 feet times 1 yard over 3 feet, because there are 3 feet in 1 yard. I'm going to cross out feet and feet, because if I divide feet by feet, I get 1. Okay? That leaves me with 14 yards. 14 times 1 is 14. And 3 to divide by. 14 divided by 3 gives me 4 2/3 yards. Okay? If it is already in a fraction, do not transfer it over to a decimal. Leave it as a fraction. Okay? Next, now this is where it gets tricky. So I have 42 cups, and I want to know how many quarts it is. Well, there is a measurement between that is pints. So I can't just divide by a number. I actually could, but to find that out. So here is how you would do it. So 42 cups times 1 pint with 2 cups in it, times 1 quart with 2 pints in it. Cups and cups crossed out, pints and pints crossed out. That leaves me at 42 times 1 times 1 quart. 42 quarts. 2 times 2 is 4. 42 divided by 4 gives me 10 2/4 or 10 1/2 quarts. Okay? So there are 10 1/2 quarts and 42 cups. Now, a visual is the gallon man. So, this is how I used to teach it when I was teaching elementary school. But it's a good visual. So, a great big G for gallon. Put 4 Q's in there, 4 quarts per gallon. 2 P's inside each Q, because there are 2 pints in each quart. So PP, 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 and PP. And then 2 cups inside each pint. So cup, and so on. So if I look at that, I can visually see there are 4 cups per quart times 4, because there are 4 quarts, I would have 16 cups per gallon. Okay? So visually, I can easily find that out. Okay? Sometimes helps out, so I just give that information to you. You can use it, you cannot use it, I don't care, it doesn't make a difference. But some people it does help out tremendously. Alright, so let's talk about the metric system. So everywhere else but us uses the metric system. And this is where you have one of 3 units. You have a gram, which is the measurement for mass. You have meter, which is the measurement for length. And you have a liter, which is the measurement for capacity or liquids. That is my unit. Then all I have to do is put a prefix on that unit to tell me how many I have. Okay, so, and this is a Latin prefix. So deca means I have 10. So if I have a decagram, it's 10 grams. Hecto means I have 100. So if a hectometer is 100 meters. Kilo is 1,000 of them, so a kiloliter is 1,000 liters. Okay, deci is 1/10. So you might look at the difference between deca and deci. Centa is 1/100, and milla is 1/1000. Okay? Now, if it is me, I'm going to write this on my paper if I'm working it out. Okay? Because then I have that information right beside me. It makes it very easy. That may not be for you. Okay? But 0.38 meters to millimeters, if I need to change 0.38 meters to millimeters, so meters is right here, and I want to go to millimeters, will I have more millimeters or less millimeters than what I have meters? I will have more, because there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. Okay? So this number here should be bigger than this number here. Okay? And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 places. So that means I'm going to move my decimal over to the right 3 places. And 0.38 meters is 380 millimeters. Okay? Just go ahead and fall down after I just pick you up. That's fine. Okay. 4.23 grams right here. And going to kilograms. Do I have more grams or more kilograms in that?
Grams.
I will have more grams. So I'm moving it 1, 2, 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 0.00423 kilograms or 4 grams. And then 4 kiloliters, 157 liters, and I'm going to change that to liters. Now if I write that as a decimal, it's 4.167. Okay? And I am here, and I need to go to here. So I'm going 1, 2, 3 places, and this number is going to be larger than the kiloliters, right? Excuse me. So I'm going to move over to the right 3 places, And that gives me 4,167 kiloliters. Okay. Now, if you think about it, then it's easy for you to move that decimal over in the right place. Okay. You probably know that milliliters are little bitty, teeny tiny ticks on that meter stick, and you know there are a whole bunch of them in 1 meter. So if you think about that, it makes it easy in which way you're going to move your decimal. Okay. Sometimes you can get confused otherwise, but if you think about that, then you know it will be much easier as you go on. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about what we normally consider to be geometry, starting with lines. So a ray is a line that has one endpoint and goes forever in the other direction with an arrow on it. A line segment is a line that has 2 endpoints, one on each end, starts and stops. A line is just a line that has arrows on both ends, goes in both directions forever and ever, and does not stop. If I want to label those, I label them with a capital letter. Geometry always uses capitals. That's why we use small letters for variables. Okay? So capital letters, and I have AB here, so AB with a line with arrows above it would be line AB. Okay? If I had a ray up there, then it would be array AB. We talk about angles. Angles are 2 rays that come together in our endpoints. So this is ray Q right here, and this is ray S. They come together at the vertex, which is where the endpoints meet. This particular one, this is the symbol for angle when you have it drawn. So to name it is angle Q or angle R or angle QRS, where R is in the middle. But it is the name of the angle. Notice the symbol for angle there looks like an L that's kind of been pushed over on its side, so it's not exactly straight up. All right, 4 different types of angles that we can have. We can have a right angle that is 90 degrees, has a box in it. If you see one that has a box, that means it's 90 degrees, okay? If it does not have a box, it's not 90 degrees. This one, you can set your paper right in there, and you should be able to see this line and this line beside it, okay? So 90 degrees. More than 90 degrees is obtuse. Less than 90 degrees is acute. And 180 degrees is a straight angle, and that is a straight line. So all straight lines have 180 degrees. Parallel lines, 2 lines that never cross. This is the symbol for parallel. Perpendicular lines, they cross at a 90 degree. This is the symbol for perpendicular. And intersecting lines are 2 lines that intersect. They don't have to intersect at a 90 degree necessarily. Perpendicular lines are intersecting lines as well. They just intersect at that 90 degrees. 2 more terms that you have to know. Complementary and supplementary. Complementary is 2 angles that add up to be 90 degrees. Okay? I remember that was a visual that if the P, if I flipped it around, would look like a 9. So each P represents 90 degrees. Okay? Supplementary has 2 P's, so that is 2 angles that add up together to be 180 degrees. I know that was one of your questions. Actually, 3 of your questions had to do with those words on your quiz. Some other vocab classifying triangles, you can classify them two different ways. You can classify them with the legs or the sides, or you can classify them with the angles. So if I'm talking about the legs of the triangle, we have isosceles. That means that two legs are the same size. We have scalene, that means no legs are the same size. And we have equilateral, and that means all three legs are the same size. Angle measurements, we have a right triangle, which means you have a right angle in it. We have an obtuse triangle, which means you have an obtuse angle. And we have an acute triangle, which means all three of the angles are acute. All angles inside of a triangle equal 180 degrees when you add them up. And similar and congruent, the difference in those two terms, similar means it is the same shape, but not the same size. And congruent means it's the same size and shape. When we have similar as well, the angles will be the same measurement or will be the same shape. Okay? All right, so things that you have to know. And if you do not know this, you need to look it up. Okay, I'm not going to give you this information because 3 people will know it, 4 won't, and the 3 people that know it will be bored out of their mind. More than you are right now. So, know your polygon shapes. Know how to find area, how to find perimeter, and how to find volume of all of those polygons. Like I know several people had questions on the area of a trapezoid. You had to find artificial turf for this yard that was a trapezoid, so you've got to know what the area formula is for a trapezoid. Know that a quadrilateral is 4 sides, so all 4-sided shapes are quadrilaterals. That's why if you have a quad ATV, that's because they have 4 wheels, it's quad. All right, now I'm going to give you some rules of measurements with angles, and then I'm going to give you an oral quiz afterwards, so you may want to write this down. You also have this on your extension problems. I know your extension problems for sure. And several people also have questions on their WebAssign that has the same thing, okay? So, here are some rules when we have a transversal line. And a transversal line is a line that intersects a parallel line, okay? When I make that intersection, you see that I have 8 different angles. I have angle A, angle B, angle C, angle D, E, F, G, and H. When I am finished, I'm going to give you the area or the measurement of one of those angles, and you're going to find the other 7, okay, by rules that I'm giving you right now. So the first rule is vertical angle rule, okay? Vertical angle rule says that if an angle is vertical from each other, that means like A and D, or B and C, E and H, or G and F, if they're across from each other diagonally, they have the same measurement. That's the vertical angle rule. Number 2, adjacent angle rule. Adjacent means right beside. So if you have 2 angles that are right beside each other, like A and B here, or C and D, A and C, or B and D, E and F, G and H, E and D, or F and H. So angles that are right beside each other, both of those angles add up to be 180 degrees. They are all on straight lines. You see A and B there is on this straight line right here. So if I add those 2, it's got to equal what a straight line is, 180 degrees. Corresponding angles. Corresponding angles means angles that are in the same position on the drawing, okay? So what I mean by that, angle A is on top of a perpendicular or a parallel line. Angle E is on top of a parallel line. Gosh, not perpendicular. So on top, both of them are to the left of the transversal. They are corresponding. They have the same measurement. Same thing with angle B and angle F. They're on top, and they are to the right. Angle C and angle G are corresponding because they're below the parallel line, and on the left side, and angle D and angle H are also corresponding. They're below the parallel lines and to the right. Okay. Alternate interior angles. This is where it gets a little bit harder. But if you use the words that are there, it's not that difficult. So interior means the inside. So if I'm an interior designer, that is actually what I went to school for initially. So interior designers design the inside of buildings. So inside the parallel lines are interior. Alternate means one side of the transversal on one and one side of the on the other side of the transversal on the other. Okay? So C and F are alternate interior angles. C and F, they are equal. D and E are also alternate interior angles, and they are equal. Then you probably have figured out what alternate exterior means, because exterior means the outside. So we're talking about the outside of the parallel lines and alternating the transversal, so one on one side, one on the other. So A is on the outside, H is on the other side of the transversal and outside. These two are equal, A and H, because of alternate exterior rules. B and G are also equal. They are alternate exterior angles as well. Okay, I'm going to give you angle F. Angle F is equal to 78 degrees. Find A, B, C, D, E, G, and H. And I am going to call on people. When I do, I want you to give me how big that angle is and why you know that. G a vertical angle from F?
Yeah.
Okay. What do I know about vertical angles?
They're the same.
They're the same. So what is angle G?
78.
78. Okay. Leland, give me angle E, please, and tell me what.
Angle E would be 78.
Why?
Because it would be the opposite side of that.
The opposite side? You mean vertical?
Vertical.
Okay. Vertical of what?
It would be vertical to I think the word I'm looking for be the same as F.
Okay, so you're saying vertical of F?
Yes.
It is not. F and G are vertical. E is that other roll. What's that other roll?
Adjacent.
Adjacent. And what does adjacent mean?
Adjacent means
When I said this, you nodded your head yes. What is E and F on?
the same line.
The same line. And so I have to have 180 degrees for the same line. So I should take 180 minus F to find out what E is.
102.
Okay. So that's 102 because of the adjacent. All right, how about angle D? Kaylin?
Is D the one on the,
This one.
okay, so that's going to be, 102,
Why?
because, E is, interior, correspondent, and E is.
Alternate, actually, alternate interior. You're right.
And E is 102.
Okay, all right.
And the building is the same.
All right, very good. So it's on one side of the transversal, the other side of the transversal, and it's inside, so that's alternate interior, and they are equal to each other. All right, KC,
Yep.
angle B, how much?
B
Yep,
equal to 72. A.
it's this one.
Oh, yeah, 78.
How do you know?
Yeah. Alternate exterior.
Of? Very good. It is alternate exterior of G, so it is the same. Roberto, angle C.
78.
Why? Of? Vertical angle of which angle? B. Okay, very good. So 78 is vertical from B. So right here. All right. Daniel, angle H.
H is 102.
How do you know?
Comes vertical angle from B.
Very good. Vertical of E, so it is the same. And yay me. Angle A. Angle A.
It's a 102.
And why?
It's also a vertical angle.
Of D. Absolutely. Very good job, okay. You will have one of those exact same things on your, weather sign, I know. And you may even have them on your, you'll have it on your extension. I know you have one on your extension, but you may have one also on your website. So here's one that we have seen. Okay, we've seen this on WebAssign a couple of times, all right? These are vertical angles. What do you know about vertical angles?
Stay the same.
They're the same. So I have to set it up to be the same. Oh. Yep. Okay, subtract x, and x is gonna be equal to 27. Okay, so vertical angles, set them equal together, all right? The last thing that you gotta know, Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is that if I have a right triangle, the side that is right directly opposite of the right angle is the hypotenuse. And if I take each leg, A and B, and square it, it's going to equal the same as the hypotenuse squared. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. You will have questions like that as well. I've seen several that says you start at one point, you drive east, you drive south 19 miles, you drive south 13 miles, you drive east 11 miles, and how far are you away from the beginning? So that's like you started here, you drove south, you drove east, and then they want to know the hypotenuse there, okay? It's not just adding the 19 and 12 or 11 and coming up with 30. That's not the answer. We're looking for the hypotenuse. There's also a question that has a ladder leaned up against the wall, and it gives you how far the ladder is and how tall the wall is. They want to know how far out it is, so they're looking for A there, okay? So if you do C squared minus B squared, you will find A squared there. Okay, questions? All right, so it is just darn close to being time for you to go. So here is what I want. As soon as you get things opened up and such, you will not have time to do anything. So on Friday we will watch a video, about 10 minutes or so, and then you will have the time to work on chapter 7. If you happen to look, I did move chapter 7 out for another week because I always want to make sure you have an entire week to do your work and get it completed. So it is not due next Monday, it's due the Monday after that, okay? However, you need to make sure that you get that finished. So, Friday, that's what we'll do. We'll work on that and then, go from there. So I will see you on Friday.
Do we bring the bike?